Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Marcus Speaks.
What's up, people? Welcome to another episode of Marcus Speaks Live, the very podcast that gives you everything that you want, including trending topics and a lot of other random good shit. I'm your host, Marcus. This is Marcus Speaks, and I am happy that you are here right now. Now, I'm going to get through a few promotions first because I'm a little discombobulated. I didn't have myself ready before I came up here, so I was handling all that stuff behind the scenes as we spoke. So please, if you could, like this video, share this video, and subscribe if you are new here, and hit that bell icon to all. And please do not be shy. Write something in the live chat. I will be paying attention to it as I continue this here broadcast. Also, please remember, every Friday I do a game stream called Marcus Speaks Play, which I play my favorite video games in a certain select few of new releases. Also, please always join me here on Saturdays so I can talk your heads off about trending topics and stuff that's going on in the world. With Marcus Speaks Live, that happens as well as at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 6:30-ish. All right. Please do me this one favor. Please go and subscribe to the channel, to Marcus Speaks, if you haven't already done so. Please do yourself that one favor and subscribe and the bell icon. Also get all of my notifications once I go live. Also, do me this one here favor for the next 25 people who go to my Rumble channel. You can do that by following the link below in the description box. Please do me that favor. The next 25 people, I believe, I will be able to start streaming live to Rumble. So just in case some things get spicy over here on YouTube, we can just head on over to Rumble where we can speak freely. All right. So, if there's some things you want to speak about that we can't speak about on here, we can just head on over to Rumble. That's how we do it. All right. If you want to come up here and talk to me, you can. Come on up here and talk to me by hitting the link that's pinned to the top pinned to the description. I'm sorry, pinned in the live chat at the top. All right, you want to come and talk to me. But there are 3 rules you have to follow. The first rule is you have to be on camera at all times. It doesn't matter what you want to do; is what I need you to do. All right. You have to be on camera here on the backstage, and if you want to be on camera to the public. But if you don't want to be on camera to the public, that is fine. There's a question back here. So let me know, yes or no, with your name that I will see here on the backstage. Please let me know if you would like to or not be on camera, and I'll be that service. Also, please mute all background noise. Please silence all background noise. So if you have to go to a nice secluded spot in your house, I recommend that. All right. But other than that, you know, the only thing I have left is please like this video, subscribe if you are new here, and hit that bell icon to all. All right. Do me that one favor. So with that being said, if you guys have ever watched my show, you know I like playing videos. It helps me further my point in what I'm speaking about with you guys tonight. So in order for me to do that, I have to do this. I have to let you know what fair use is, and this is exactly what fair use is. Hello, everyone. I'm going to tell you about fair use. It's the law. Warning. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyright motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 USC 107. All right, so that is what fair use is. All right. So I got a nice show lined up for you guys tonight. I want to hit some topics that I don't have either video or pictures to, but I just want to talk to you guys about it before we get into tonight's show. This whole Michael B. Jordan thing that's going on, where I guess Joe Budden called him out, basically saying that he was corny for addressing what the chick L'Oreal said about him uh in a podcast episode she did. Let, let's just unpack this real fast. So within the podcast that L'Oreal did with her, and I believe the other chick's name she does the podcast with, her name is the Diva or something like that. I don't remember. So so I guess the Diva basically said that he's corny for dating white women. Like he's a corny dude for dating white women. I don't know what that means because anybody's free to date whoever the hell they want, but I guess there's an issue with black men dating outside their race, knowing that black women now are starting to date outside the race now, but forever have been doing that. So I don't understand this whole cognition of the bullshit. But anyway, but let's get to the interview. So Michael B. Jordan saw L'Oreal. She was in the line of interviewers that he had to speak to for the Creed world premiere. So she, did a regular interview with him. He started the interview out by saying, "Oh, so you the corn?" Oh, so before we get into that, so L'Oreal said to rebut what the other girl on her on the podcast said L'Oreal said that they went to school together and they used to call him corny because he used to walk around with his headshots uh, on him at all times because, somebody following his dreams shouldn't be prepared just in case if opportunity comes up. But, whatever. But then, he does the interview with L'Oreal. He says, oh, the corny dude, right? And they basically just had some just a banter between each other. He answered her questions, and then she finishes the interview off by saying, well, he's not corny anymore. Okay, cool, right? Then Joe Buttons comes out of his neck basically saying that he was corny for coming out and starting the interview off like that, and he had an issue with that, which didn't make any sense to me. Why he would come out and basically be like, well, I think he's corny because he addressed her like that. It's like, well, it shows that he's plugged into the culture. So if he watched L'Oreal's show and he so happened to hear his name on an episode that he watched about, them calling him corny in school, okay, he probably didn't think nothing of it. As you can see, Michael B hasn't said nothing about this. This is the same thing that I said about. Excuse me. This is the same thing that I said about ASAP Rocky with that whole Rihanna thing. Rihanna or ASAP Rocky has yet to come out and say anything about what people are thinking about their relationship. Because you know why? Because both Rihanna and ASAP Rocky, as well as Michael B. Jordan, probably don't give a fuck about what normal, regular niggas who go to work think. Like, Michael B. Jordan can take a whole year off and still have millions of dollars, while we, as regular working folk, have to punch the clock every goddamn day, or for 5 days a week, or 4 days a week, however many days and hours you work. So, would you be like, if I was in Michael B. Jordan's shoes, or if I was in Rihanna or ASAP Rocky shoes, I wouldn't be giving a fuck about what any of y'all are saying. I got millions. I'm doing shit. Like, I'm enjoying my life. I don't care what y'all are saying. Like, y'all got Joe Buttons. I'm pretty sure he has millions again after being bankrupt twice. So, like, he has to be very clear about what the hell he's saying when it comes to certain things. It's like, why should you care how somebody handled an interview? Like, L'Oreal laughed it off. Michael B. Jordan, he basically didn't want anything to do with the whole entire talk about being corny, but he just addressed it for the simple fact is that when you're called names, like, even as a child, and it follows you throughout your adulthood, you tend not to care anymore. Like, I told y'all various times, I stutter, and I don't give a fuck that I stutter. And people, like, I've heard all the jokes. Like, I've heard them all. I've heard them all. It's not a joke I haven't heard as an adult where I'm like, oh, that hurt my feelings. No, because I heard them all as a child. Like, it doesn't matter what people say about my speech impediment now. Like, I don't care. Like, just make it funny next time. That's how I am now. Just make it funny. That's all you got to do. If you can make what you're saying about me funny and don't make it personal, then we could possibly be friends. But if you want to make it personal to where you're saying all kinds of shit, and you know what I'm saying, like, you're like, to where I have to beat your ass, then that's different. But when it comes to people saying shit about me now, as you know what I'm saying, as an adult, and me having a speech impediment, I don't really give a fuck about what people are saying. Like, I have, like, it's nothing that you can say to me now that'll get me worked up about my speech impediment. So that's all I really wanted to say about that. Like, really, that's all I really wanted to say about that whole Michael B. Jordan thing. Well, let's get into today's show. So I have a great show lined up for you guys tonight. I have great, awesome topics in the beginning before we get to our main topic. So tonight's overview for random topics are: government says COVID might have leaked from Chinese virology lab. Dilbert creator says white people should get away from black people. And Dwayne Wade and Gabby Union get NAACP award for being understanding parents. So I have that lined up for you guys tonight. So let's get into it, right? So I got this article, and all articles and videos are credited in the description box. So I'm not taking credit for any of this stuff that I'm talking about other than my own opinions and thoughts. All right. So this article comes from the New York Times, and the article is entitled "Lab Leak Most Likely Cause Pandemic," Energy Department says. So, if you guys haven't been paying attention to the news, which if I'm your only source of news, that's horrible, because I have to get my news from various sources during the week. Now, um, so basically, what's been going on is that the Energy Department basically came out and said that there's a possibility that the novel coronavirus that happened between 2020 and 2020, well, when was it lifted? Sometime last year, like the beginning of the year, middle of the year. So between that time, the Energy Department is saying that it's a possibility that it could have happened from the very lab that they said was across the street from the wet market that they were talking about. Now, by this time, I'm pretty sure my video now has that little COVID-19 description thing underneath of this video now. So if it has it there, just go and click and read that foolishness. Anyway, so basically what they're stating is this, and I have a video for you guys that will basically go over this. So this is what they're talking about.
Tonight, NBC News learning the Department of Energy has concluded COVID-19 likely came from a lab leak in China. According to two sources with direct knowledge, key lawmakers on the House and Senate Intelligence Committees were recently briefed by top intelligence officials on a classified report, which cited new information, leading the Energy Department to back the theory with low confidence, symbolic of a larger divide within the intelligence community on how the virus started, with agencies differing on whether the novel coronavirus may have leaked from a laboratory or through natural transmission. The Wall Street Journal reporting Sunday it was unintentional and a lab mishap. A U.S. official confirming that assessment from the report and stressing there's still consensus this was not a Chinese bioweapon. But there is still no definitive answer or agreement from the U.S. government on the overall origin.
Some elements of the intelligence community have reached conclusions on one side, some on the other. A number of them have said they just don't have enough information to be sure.
The Energy Department telling NBC News the agency continues to support the thorough, careful, and objective work of our intelligence professionals in investigating the origins of COVID-19 as directed by President Biden. The GOP-led House Oversight Committee, confirming the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, provided classified information to the panel earlier this month as lawmakers seek more answers.
I think we need to do extensive hearings. I hope our Democratic colleagues in the Congress can support that.
And Monica joins me now from the White House. Monica, has China said anything about this latest report?
Well, the Chinese government has not responded to this latest intelligence, but has long denied the pandemic ever started from a leak in one of its laboratories. Kate?
All right. So that's what they're saying about that. So what's going on right now is what I'm about to read to you guys in this article that I have. So this is what they're saying. The conclusion, which was made with low confidence, came as America's intelligence agencies remain divided over the origins of the coronavirus. New intelligence has prompted the Energy Department to conclude that an accidental, and I showed you guys the picture, but I'll show you guys again. Accidental lab leak in China most likely caused the coronavirus pandemic. Though U.S. spy agencies remain divided over the origins of the virus, American officials said on Sunday or last Sunday the conclusion was a change from the department's earlier position, which was the Energy Department's conclusion suggested its level of certainty was not high, while officials said none changed their conclusions. Officials would not disclose what the intelligence was, but many of the Energy Department's insights came from its network of national laboratories, some of which conduct biological research rather than more traditional forms of intelligence like spy networks or communication interceptions. All right, so that's what they're saying about that. So let's continue. Intelligence officials believe the scrutiny of the pandemic's beginnings could be important to improving global response to future health crises. Though they caution that finding an answer about the source of the virus may be difficult or even impossible given Chinese opposition to further research. Scientists say there is a responsibility to explain how a pandemic that has killed almost 7 million people started and learn more about its origin could help researchers understand what poses the biggest threats of future outbreaks. The new intelligence and the shift in department's view was first reported by the Wall Street Journal on Sunday. Jack Sullivan, the national security advisor, declined to confirm the intelligence, but he said President Biden had ordered that the national labs be brought into the effort to determine the origins of the outbreak so that the government was using every tool it had. So that's what Biden is saying about this. But let's continue. In addition to the Energy Department, the FBI has also concluded with moderate confidence that the virus first emerged accidentally from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, a Chinese lab that worked on coronaviruses. But this is one thing that I believe you guys never seen, and I'm gonna show this right now. So right here is within the Wuhan lab, and this is a warped freezer door seal. So I'm pretty sure you guys, if you guys pay attention to science and stuff like that, and certain clearances in certain areas that these viruses are worked in, when they're not being worked on, they just can't just have them sitting around. They have to put them in some type of storage containment, and make sure that they're on ice, so that they're not active. So I seen this picture probably sometime last summer, I believe. I brought it up too. I'm not too sure, but this is in the largest virus bank in Asia, Wuhan Institute of Virology, right? This was on Twitter. So as you can see, if you look at the arrow, there's a warp seal. The warp seal has frost around it, which means when they close it, it's not closing all the way and it's not sealing all the way. So it's a possibility, and I'm not saying that this is the end all be all and I've got it, I got the answer to everything. No, I'm just saying this. It's a possibility that the way that the virus came out and was able to infect people was possibly from this warped seal on this freezer. We all have freezers at the house. What happens when your freezer door is open and is letting out all of the cold containment air? Well, your freezer starts defrosting, and it's a possibility that the seal, since it wasn't closing tight on it to where it was keeping everything cold on the inside, it's a possibility that the whatever that they were working on in this freezer, if this had some of the novel coronavirus in there, or COVID-19, or whatever you want to call it, it's a possibility that some of that virus might have un you know defrosted, and some of it probably could have gotten out of that freezer. I'm not saying that is the cause of it. I'm just saying it's a possibility that could have happened just off of looking at this picture. But I digress. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. So how about we get back into this article now? Four other intelligence agencies and the National Intelligence Council have concluded with low confidence that the virus most likely emerged through natural transmission. The director of Natural Intelligence's office announced in October 2021. Mr. Sullivan said those divisions remain. There is a variety of viewers in the intelligence community, he said on CNN State of the Union on Sunday. Some elements of the intelligence community have reached conclusions on one side, some on the other. A number of them have reached conclusions on one. I'll say that. I'm sorry. A number of them have said they just don't have enough information to be sure. Mr. Sullivan said if some information was learned, the administration would report it to Congress and the public. But right now, there is not a definitive answer that have emerged from the intelligence community on this question, he said. Now, some scientists believe that the current evidence, in, including virus genes, points to a large food and live animal market in Wuhan as the most likely place that the coronavirus emerged. Now, that's the whole, it came from a wet market deal. So that's what the initial that's what the initial evidence that came out in 2020 that they gave us, that it came from the wet market that was across the street from this virology lab. Like, who knew, right? Excuse me. Who knew, right? But who's to say that couldn't be true? It's a possibility that it could be true, but at the same time, it's another possibility that Fauci got funding to do gain of function research as well. Now, since that's a possibility as well, we don't know what to conclude. That's the reason why that the energy department has low confidence of what they're concluding right now. They don't know which way to think. They don't know which way, is left now. And it's like they're thinking, well, is it a possibility that it was from the wet market? Is it a possibility that somebody could have ate some bat soup and that could have made the whole coronavirus outbreak? Or could a pangolin could have kissed the turtle and then we, got the virus? Shout out to John Stewart for the pangolin kissed the turtle fly. We don't know. We possibly don't know the outcome of any of this. So we can only I wouldn't say we can only trust, but just keep your ears open for some information of what Congress gives us from the Energy Department and whatever the intelligence agencies say, and then come up with your own conclusion by doing your own research. Now let's keep going. Intelligence community leaders are set to brief Congress on March 8th and 9th as part of an annual hearing on global threats. Avril D. Haines, the director of National Intelligence, and other senior officials would most likely be asked about the continuing inquiry into the virus origins. Many Democrats have not been persuaded by the lab leak hypothesis, with some saying they believe the natural causes explanation and others saying they are not certain that enough intelligence will emerge to draw a conclusion. But many Republicans on Capitol Hill have said they believe that the virus could have come from one of China's research labs in Wuhan. A congressional subcommittee created with Republicans took over the House in January, as has made examining the lab leak theory a central focus on its work. Future hearings, Mr. Gallagher said, will look at biosecurity and China's effort to influence international organizations like the World Health Organization. Where our committee can have a role in teasing out what this communicates about the DNA of the Chinese Communist Party. Sorry, I'm having brain farts right now. An organization that was willing to cover up the origins of the pandemic and thereby cost us critical days, months, and weeks, and millions of lives in the process. Mr. Gallagher said in an interview on Sunday, Chinese officials have reportedly called the lab leak hypothesis a lie that has no basis in science and is politically motivated. But is it though? Is it really politically motivated that, us as Americans think otherwise than what China said to us? Excuse me. The March 2021 report by the WHO, or the World Health Organization, said it was extremely unlikely that the virus emerged accidentally from a lab. But China appointed half the scientists who wrote the report and exerted major control over it. American officials have been largely dismissive of the work. The intelligence agencies have said they do not believe there is many evidence that the coronavirus that caused COVID-19 was created deliberately as a biological weapon. Let's stop there. Because that was in the air back in 2020. They basically said, or Congress, or I believe Trump said this too, that it could possibly be a biological weapon. And the mainstream news started saying that as well. There's a possibility that what is happening, or what happened then, was biological warfare. Now, us in the conscious community, we also said that as well, that it could possibly be a biological weapon for the simple fact that we spoke about this years ago, that not only will the United States start conducting biological weapons and using those biological weapons in war tactics, but we also spoke about in the Black conscious community that bioweapons have been basically being made for decades now. One of those biological weapons, which is spoke about all the time, is that house in Virginia, or I don't have an acronym for AIDS, but basically, HIV/AIDS was a bioweapon, that we basically thought was a bioweapon. HIV/AIDS was a bioweapon, as well as Ebola, and you think of like all of the major um all of the major diseases that has happened, such as, like, we're dealing with uh bird flu again. um you know we don't really lean on that being a biological weapon. It could very well be a natural virus that happens, but it's in the pickings. You know what I'm saying? So, other than that, we basically, we talk about a lot of stuff when it comes to, or we talked about a lot of stuff that came to when it comes to, stuff like that, biological weapons, what could possibly be the cause of these weapons, who's causing these issues. You know what I'm saying? Who's a part of the biological weapons teams and stuff like that. Where are the labs at, such as one of the labs here in Maryland, Fort Detrick. Um, that is a prime candidate sometimes, especially when it comes to the AIDS virus as well as Ebola as well. Um, but I'm rambling right now. Let's finish off the article, and then we can move on. So, the article states, but they have said that whether it emerged naturally, perhaps from a market in Wuhan, or escaped accidentally from a lab, is the subject of legitimate debate. Another, I have, oh, I'm sorry, Anthony Ruggiero, Ruggiero, I guess that's how you say his name. Anthony Ruggiero, a staff member focused on biodefense issues during the Trump administration, said he believed China is still hiding crucial information about how the virus emerged. I'll get to that in just a minute. Um, we can have something to talk about that when I finish this. So he said the lab leak theory should not be dismissed. The lab leak origin for the COVID-19 pandemic is not and was not a conspiracy theory, he said. We can tackle that as well. Now, by this saying that that let me read it again. Hiding crucial information about how the virus emerged. That's what Trump was saying back in 2020, that he feels as though that China wasn't telling us the truth about this. And why would they, right? Because at the time, to be honest, China kind of got in they chest about some shit, and you know, Trump basically was like, fuck it. Like, if y'all feel that way, like, I don't really give a damn. Like, I feel like this. And they got in their chest. So when it comes to us getting information about certain stuff, they don't really have the obligation to tell us. Like, although now, they're threatening war on Taiwan, and then we're having a hand in that, as well as Russia with the whole Ukraine thing, and we have a hand in that as well. Like, they don't really have to tell us shit. Like, also with the whole the lab leak theory, we said that us black conscious folks, we said that back in 2019. I would point out a group, Hotep Nation. They basically said this back in 2019. Shout out to in Hotep. Shout out everybody in Hotep Nation. Shout out to Uncle Hotep, Hotep Jesus, Canon Hotep, everybody in the Hotep Nation, J Pylon, all of But yeah, they basically said this back in 2019 that it could be a possibility that the lab leak theory is the right theory and there should be no other take on this. And I believe exactly what they believe because they got that not just from themselves but from the Black conscious community that's been around for basically decades. But sometimes we fall off, sometimes we come back and we're popular or whatever. I'm just waiting on that time to happen again. But it's just we've been saying this shit for decades. We've been saying this since the 80s. We've been saying all this stuff since the 80s. We even predicted a lot of this shit from certain books such as 1984, such as Demolition Man, the movie Demolition Man, such as Behold the Pale Horse, all of these books that we've read that we've got some of this stuff from, most of it, if not all of it, has come true. So there's nothing else that we have to say about this other than if you don't believe us now, y'all not going to believe us later because it's just going to be too late. So let's just move on from this. I'm pretty sure you guys have your own thoughts when it comes to this. So, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you otherwise. So let's move on. Let me see if I can find this place for this next video. So if you guys have been paying attention to to what's been going on with this one character, by the name of Scott Adams. So from the Stamford Advocate, media dropped Dilbert after creator's Black hate group remark. So if you guys have not heard any of this, if you guys haven't heard any of this yet, god damn it, you about to be in for a treat. Because, matter of fact, I'll just let him say what he said.
Well, Rasmussen poll had a provocative little poll today. They said, do you agree or disagree with the statement, it's okay to be white? That was an actual question. Rasmussen asked, white and black voters, and probably others, do you disagree or agree with the statement, it's okay to be white? 26% of blacks said no. It's not okay to be white. 21% weren't sure. Add them together, that is 47% of black respondents were not willing to say it's okay to be white. That's like a real poll. This just happened. Did you have any idea? Would you have imagined that could have happened? So I realized, as you know, I've been identifying as black for a while, years now, because I like to be on the winning team, and I like to help. And I always thought, well, if you help the black community, that's sort of the biggest lever. You can find the biggest benefit. So I thought, well, that's the hardest thing and the biggest benefit. So I'd like to focus a lot of my life resources in helping black Americans. So much so that I started identifying as black to just be on the team I was helping. But it turns out that nearly half of that team doesn't think I'm okay to be white, which is, of course, why I identified as black, so I could be on the winning team for a while. But I have to say, this is the first political poll that ever changed my activities. I don't know that that's ever happened before. Normally you see a poll, you just look at it, you go, whatever. Oh, this is interesting what other people think. But as of today, I'm going to re-identify as white because I don't want to be a member of a hate.
I guess he's doing that to be convenient, I guess. I don't know. Let's keep going.
I'd accidentally joined a hate group.
or inconvenient.
So if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. That's a hate group. And I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the fuck away. Wherever you have to go, just get away. Because there's no fixing this. This can't be fixed. Right? This can't be fixed. You just have to escape. So that's what I did. I went to a neighborhood where, I have a very low black population. Because unfortunately, there's a high correlation between the density. And this is according to Don Lemon, by the way. So here I'm just...
Wait, us in the black community, we don't listen to what the fuck Don Lemon be talking about. So for him to take Don Lemon's word for something, come on now. Come on, Scott. You smarter than that. Let's continue.
Quoting Don Lemon when he notes that when he lived in a mostly black neighborhood, there were a bunch of problems that he didn't see in white neighborhoods. So even Don Lemon sees a big difference in your own quality of living based on where you live and who's there. So I think it makes no sense whatsoever as a white citizen of America to try to help black citizens anymore. It doesn't make sense. It's no longer a rational impulse. And so I'm gonna back off from being helpful to black America because it doesn't seem like it pays off. Like I've been doing it all my life, and the only outcome is I get called a racist. That's the only outcome. It makes...
All right. So that's what he had to say. And to be honest, I don't blame him. But this is why. Because us as black folks, which it's two different factions, and Chris Rock told you guys a long time ago back in the 90s, which he stole this joke, but it doesn't matter. There's two factions in the black community. There's black Americans and then there's niggas. All right. What he moved away from was probably niggas, because us as black folks, we want our own. We don't want handouts. We want to be able to take care of ourselves in a way that we see fit. You saw it back in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, Florida, and you name the towns. Harlem, New York. You name the towns that had a very big black population, and how we were striving in those communities to basically having it ripped from us. So I'm just saying this now. Although I don't disagree about what he said about white people moving away from black people, because I've been saying this for I don't know how long. Us as black folks, we need to get our shit together, and we need to come together, have some sort of discourse. We need to figure out, why most of these other ethnic groups here in this country have it to where that they work together more than what we do. So I don't blame him for what he said. I don't blame him. If he feels that way, hey, this is America. You can feel any type of way that you want. But this is what I also want to say. What I also want to say is it's not far-fetched that white people hate living around black people for the simple fact that they usually always say brings down their property value and all types of other bullshit that they say when it comes to black folks living in white communities. Which us as black folks, the only reason why we do it is because we don't want to live in the hood like that. Like, if we have kids and we know this is a fucked up neighborhood and it's a possibility that our kids could get caught up in the foolishness of the streets and all of that, we search for a better life for our kids and better schools for them to go to. That's the reason why you see an influx of black people most of the time in certain areas moving to the suburbs. That's the only reason. It's because it's better schools, cleaner schools, better neighborhoods for them to thrive in and to have a better start in life, other than in the hood. But you can't say that the hood doesn't produce geniuses. We can't say that the hood doesn't produce millionaires. We can't say the hood doesn't produce great minds. We can't say that by just it. Just the environment alone. We can't say that for the simple fact that I don't believe white people owe us anything or the country, but y'all. But when it comes to enslaved black people here in this country and reparations, and then that's a different talk as well. It is owed to the family members of the ancestors of which went through that scrutiny. On both sides of my family, there have been slaves. So since I know my history, if the talks get better, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to reparations, I want mine. I want mine so I can be able to provide for my family and my kids or my future kids. You know what I'm saying? And my kids' kids and their kids' kids. Like, you know what I'm saying? Although some black people look at it as a handout, and most black people don't want that. But I would say this. If we're smarter with the money, and I brought this up when it came to me being in that Twitter space, being ran out of that Twitter space. It's the niggas that are selfish. They want the money now so they can buy Cadillacs, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, a big house somewhere, or buy expensive things in the shithole apartment or townhouse that they live in now. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, if that's what they want to do with that money, we can't blame them for that. Allow them to do that. But I will say this. They are doing themselves a disservice by doing that. And their money will basically be gone. So, let them spend their money, and all of the people who want to do something smart with their money, hey, let us do that. Allow us that chance. And that's all I really have to say about that. But let's get into the article. So, let me get this lined up as I speak. So, the creator of the show Dilbert, a comic strip, faced a backlash of cancellation Saturday while defending remarks describing people who are black as members of a hate group from which white people should get away. Now, what they're talking about, because I believe the clip I showed you guys, he did that either Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember what day he did it, but he did it like Wednesday or Thursday. So what they're talking about, his Saturday, the Saturday thing that they're talking about, him defending his remarks, I have that clip as well. He was on Hotep Jesus's Sharp Conversations last Saturday speaking about this. So I'll get into that later on, okay? Now, where was I at? Okay, so various media publishers across the U.S. denounced the comments by Dilbert creator Scott Adams as racist, hateful, and discriminatory. While saying they would no longer provide a platform for his work, Andrews McMill Syndications, which distributes Dilbert, did not immediately respond Saturday to requests to comment. But Adams defended himself on social media against those whom he said hate me and are canceling me. Dilbert is Dilbert is blah 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 blah. Dilbert is a long-running comic that pokes fun at office place culture. The backlash began following an episode this past week on YouTube on the YouTube show Real Coffee with Scott Adams. Jesus Christ. Among other topics, Adams referenced a Rasmussen report survey that had asked whether people agree with the statement "it's okay to be white." So this is what they're talking about. So it was this poll that was in, I guess, I don't know where Rasmussen comes from, but they had this poll. So let's break this poll down. So let me enlarge this. So it says national survey of 1,000 American adults conducted February 13th through the 15th, 2023 by Rasmussen Reports. So I'm guessing that they had like some people go out and ask some people some questions. So the question is, do you agree or disagree with this statement? It's okay to be white. So they have it on a scale of strongly agree, somewhat disagree, strongly disagree, or not sure. So, since we're talking race, how about let's get to the black part, right? So there are some black people who feel as though 42% strongly agree with it's not okay to be white. All right. 11% somewhat agree. 8%. What was the one in the middle? It's somewhat disagree. 18% strongly disagree, and then 21% are not sure. So with that being said, it's like the 42% of folks, do you know what their political background is or their political views are? They're black Democrat progressives. That's what they are. So we're talking all of the, protests that has happened, all of the we're talking all of the protests that happened between 2020 until now. We're talking all of all of that, Trump haters and stuff like that. Those are the people that strongly agree with this. I'm sorry. 42%. Hold on. So let me reread the question and then. Okay, so it's okay to be white. Strongly agreed that it's okay to be. 42% strongly agreed that it's okay to be white. Let's get to the strongly disagree. Those are people that I was really talking about, the Trump haters and all that. 18%. 18% are your liberal progressive crowd that are Biden voters and all this other shit, right? 18%. That's out of the 42% that strongly agreed with it's okay to be white. Like, we don't really give a fuck. If you stay on your side of the tracks, we'll stay on ours, right? Then you have 11 people who strongly, or some 11% that somewhat agree with the statement. Like, yeah, it's okay to be white, but you know what I'm saying? I want my reparations, right? And there's 8% that somewhat agree with it. Disagree with it. They're like, well, I don't know. Like, you can be white, but what does that really mean? Like, I don't know. Then you have the 18% that's like, no, we don't think it's okay to be white because you have white privilege. You get away with a lot. There's no jobs for black men out here. Whatever, so on and so forth. And then it's the 21% that aren't sure. Those are the people who don't give a damn. They don't give a damn if you're white, black, or otherwise. It's like, I don't know, like, if you white, you white. You can't change it even if you wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Like, you white, so why should I care? So, so let's break that down. All right. Then you have black. Then it has. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Black people can be racist too. You have strongly agree. You have somewhat agree. Then you have somewhat disagree, strongly disagree, and then not sure. Now let's go to race. Let's see what the white people are saying. Right? Saying white people, can black people be racist? 57% of white people think yes, black people can be racist. All right. Then you have 26% that somewhat agree with it. They think the way that us black people who know better, they think what we think. Well, when it comes to being racist, what power do we have in this country? You know what I'm saying? Other than our buying power. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all that they got from that. Now, then you have 4% that strongly, or somewhat agree with it. They're like, disagree with it. Like, I disagree that black people can be racist. Like, I think that in some portions that they could, but I'm not sure. Then you have the other 4% that say, yeah, they can be. I believe that they can be racist. Like, it's a lot of racist shit that has happened over the past few decade or so that shows how black people can be racist, right? Then you got 9% that think, well, I don't know. I don't know if they can be racist or not. And then you have black folks, 42% strongly agree that no, we can't be racist. Then you have 24% that somewhat agree with, well, I think we can be racist, but I don't know. Then you got 12% that somewhat disagree. Well, I think we could, but I don't know. It's a possibility. And then you got 15% that flat out say, no, we can't be racist because of we don't have power in this country other than buying power. Then you have 8% that's not sure, that's basically saying, I don't know if we can be racist or not. I need the definition for it. And then that's that, right? Then let's get into the last part of that poll, the survey demographic. We have race. 13% of black people, 13% of the black population that they surveyed, which they surveyed what? 1,000 people and only 130 black folks they surveyed all together, right? Then you have 63 63%, which that would be what, 630 white folks that they processed. And then you have 25% that's other, which is 250%, I believe. So it's like, the 13% that they surveyed is the same amount if we're looking at the national scale of black people in this country. There's only 13% of us, 14% of us. So, but I'm not saying that those black people are the end all be all people who think for us in the black community, but it's like most of these black folks, most of them are jaded when it comes to, when it comes to race or when it comes to certain things that's happened. What's up, Maybach Mel? But yeah, we don't know. Like, out of the 13% of us, it's a small portion of us that understand what's going on in this country. Some of us are gung ho for America. Some of us are not. And it's like, you can't blame us for that. For the ones who don't, but it's like for the ones who are gung ho for America, they have a plan that they feel as though that if we just work hard enough and stay out of white people's way, we'll be able to get the life that we've been searching for. Which I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. But I also agree with the other side, or the flip side of the coin as well. So I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle. All right. I'm in the middle with this whole talk of white people moving away. I'm sorry. Of black people being a hate group from Scott Adams and all that. I don't disagree with what he's saying, but at the same time, I laugh at the fucking the statement. White people should move away from black people. I laugh at that like Kawhi Leonard. I'm just saying, man. It's like it was funny that he said that. This is why I always say this to you guys. I'd rather my racist white person be overtly racist than covertly racist. You know why? Because a covertly racist person will smile in your face and basically say to you, "Oh, do you really want to move here? Like, it's not a lot of black people around here. Do you really feel as though that you should live around here? Maybe you should find someplace else to go." Instead of a overtly racist person saying, "Hey, nigger, we don't want you in our town or in our neighborhood." I'd rather that person talk to me than a person that just smiles in my face. Because it's a possibility me and that racist could work out our issues. The fucking liberal will just smile in your face and say little bullshit to you every now and again. You know what I mean? So let's continue this article. So it says, most agreed, but Adams noted that 26% of black respondents disagreed and others weren't sure. The Anti-Defamation League says the phrase was popularized in 2017 as a trolling campaign by members of the discussion forum 4chan, but then began being used by some white supremacists. Adams, who is white, reportedly referred to people who are black as members of a hate group or a racist hate group, and said he would no longer help black Americans. Based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people, Adams said on his Wednesday show. In another episode of his online show Saturday, Adams said he had been making a point that everyone should be treated as an individual without discrimination. But you should also avoid any group that doesn't respect you, even if there are people within the group who are fine, Adams said. So, let's take what he said and let's put that on something else, right? A lot of black folks that say that when it comes to police. Police say that black people say that all cops are racist, right? Or all cops, are out here killing black people, right? But there are some police officers that say, "I'm not out there doing it. I'm one of the good guys." Blah 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 blah. And then we say back, "Well, if you're one of the good guys, why aren't you stopping your bad colleagues that are out there, right?" So same thing, right? But at the same time, let's look at it like this: when it comes to Scott's statement, that there are some in there that do hate, but there's not a lot of them that are out there that's hating on white people, right? But what groups do we have here in the black community that are hateful towards white folks? I'll wait. Can we say the Nation of Islam? Nation of Islam don't hate white people. Who else can we say? who the Black Hebrew community. They don't hate white folks. They just don't fuck with them. Who else can we say here in the Black community? The BLM members. They may possibly hate white folks, or if not, white police officers. Who else can be part of that group? Just your normal, average, going to work black person that's just trying to put food on the table. They don't have time to hate on white people. You know why? Because they work around white people. Mostly white people. Sometimes they're probably the only black person in their department, maybe. So, how many of us can hate on white people? I don't see a lot of us hating on y'all. If anything, black people like white people. This is why. Because we like what you can do here in this country. We like how you guys are propped up here in this country. We want that as well. We want to be propped up. We just don't want the export of our culture, being liked. We want us as people to be liked, not just our culture. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good statement, but it can be combated as well. So he made a good statement, but I can combat it or whatever. So let's keep going. The day that dilbert will be discontinued Monday is in most editions, and that is final run in the Saturday comics, which are printed in advance, will be March 12th. The San Antonio Express News, which is part of Harvest Newspapers, said Saturday that it will drop the Dilbert comic strip effective Monday because of hateful and discriminatory public comments by its creator. The USA Today network tweeted Friday that it also will stop publishing Dilbert due to recent discriminatory comments by the creator. The Plain Dealer in Cleveland and other publications that are part of advanced local media also announced they are dropping Dilbert. This is a decision based on the principle of this news organization and the community we serve, wrote Chris Quinn, editor of the Plain Dealer. We are not a home for those who espouse racism. We certainly do not want to provide them with financial support. Christopher Kelly, Vice President of Content for New Jersey Advanced Media, wrote that the news organization believes in the free and fair exchange of ideas, but when those ideas cross into hate speech, a line must be drawn, Kelly wrote. Okay. Now, I know my camera looks messed up, but I can fix that. Give me a second. Oh shit. Alright, hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. I set all this shit back up again. Hold on. All right, I'm back now. I'm sorry. I might have to download another OBS. I might have to download another OBS because this one's working like it freezes me a lot. Like I see that it starts, or I might have to see if this has an update. Anyway, so what I have for you guys now is, and I have to fix that shit. Jesus Christ. So what I'm about to play for you guys, and I got to get the timestamp. Okay, so as I'm getting that, I'm just going to talk to y'all for a few. So what I have for you guys right now is it's basically him explaining his case on all of this. I don't want to go that far. Hold on. All right, I think that's the best I can get it. So, what he's going to be saying here is this. He's basically going to be explaining exactly what he meant on the Hotep Jesus channel, Sharp Conversations. He's basically saying right now what he meant when he brought that up that poll.
I owe the world a clarification. Okay. Clarification in the sense. I'm opposed to any form of discrimination against individuals. Not your neighbor, not the person applying for a job. Marry who you want, date who you want, friends who you want. I have no opinion on that, except everybody should be treated as individuals, period. And from a constitutional legal sense, everybody has to be treated the same, period. So those things I think everybody agrees on.
Yeah.
The second thing said that was controversial, and I think some of the context got lost, is that if you're not in a constitutional legal sense and you're not talking to an individual, then for career maximization or life maximization, you might want to avoid people you think have a bad opinion of you. I'll give you some examples. If a man said to me, I've got a job offer, 2 places. One of them, it's a lot of men work there and I'm a man. And then another one where it seems like all the executives are women. So I got a suspicion that they wouldn't want to promote a man. So they asked my opinion. What would I say? I say, well, you don't know what all those women think. And certainly you shouldn't judge all of the women at this company by that pattern. But if your intuition is that they might not favor you as much as this other company, I would go where the discrimination worked in my favor. Here's another example. If a young Black person came to me and said, give me some life advice, I would say, don't go where you have the lowest risk, the lowest chance of succeeding. Go where you have the best chance. The best chance at the moment is you stay in school and try to get a job at a big Fortune 500 company that's trying to balance out their diversity. A very good goal. But that would put you at the top of the list, and you would automatically be, above all the white people applying for the same job if you have, similar qualifications. In the real world, people tend to have similar qualifications. I think people imagine that you can really tell who the good employee is going to be. Like, if you've ever hired, you can't do that. Nobody really knows. Like, within a similar band, you just don't know. So you're kind of guessing. Anyway, so that would be an example where a Black person should go where they have the biggest career advantage, which is, they would be discriminated in a positive way. If you were a Black man and asked me for advice, and you said, should I go work for a company in Cleveland or go somewhere where, not Cleveland, I guess, where there's a higher white percentage? Which would be your competitive advantage? If you go to Cleveland, it's 53% Black, the city is. So let's say you work for a company in Cleveland, presumably you would be competing against a lot of other Black people with similar qualifications. But if you go to another place where there are fewer Black people applying for the same jobs, you go to the top of the white pile automatically, because diversity is something every company wants, and they should. Right? I'm in favor of this. Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm in favor of, and have always been in favor of, affirmative action. But I think you have to have a conversation at some point about how to phase it out. Because once things get close,
but before everything is exactly equal, you end up having more bad will than positive benefit.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta be careful when you get that close. So I think we're in the neighborhood where we should have the conversation about, is it better for everybody to phase it out, or is there some places it's better to keep it? So likewise, if you're a white man in America and you're watching the news and you're seeing this thing called CRT, critical race theory, you're seeing DEI and ESG, all three-letter things that have in common trying to reach some kind of equity, racial balancing kind of situation. Now, I'll ask you this question because maybe you can educate me. My understanding is that they all have at the base of their narrative that white people, mostly white men, have created a situation and continue to perpetuate one that's bad for black people. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
All right. So you can see Hotep Jesus told him that with his question that yes. Now I won't go further. You guys can go and look at the interview, the 2-hour interview that he did with him on the Hotep Jesus channel. I highly recommend you guys watch that so you can get some better context in what he meant when it came to that. But I will say this, and I might have to reiterate myself. There's nothing wrong with what he said. Because this is why. Although we live in America and all of us live around each other, but we have to come to some sort of point in our development that we need to not only think about coming together, we actually have to enact this shit. Like, although we have ADOS, FBA, Nation of Islam, NAACP, which isn't a lot of black people in that anymore, other black groups as well. We have to come to a consensus, and we have to start conducting business with each other, and as well as we gotta basically look at ourselves this way. Look, it's too much going on in this community to where only a few of us are just speaking to each other. We need as just us being in this country, we need some sort of consensus. We need to stick to us, we see the Jewish community, we see the Mexican, Puerto Rican community, Spanish communities, the African community as well. They stick together, but it's something about us Black Americans to where we don't get it. Like, we don't get it at all. Where we're sitting here usually infighting with each other. To where we're infighting so much that the neighborhoods we live in, we're either stealing, killing, robbing, whatever you want to think, with each other. And it's just ridiculous. We shouldn't be doing that. We should be at least being cordial with each other. Like, I shouldn't have to be asked where I'm from if I'm not from the neighborhood that you live in. Like, no, I'm here. I'm a visitor, nigga. Like, I'm here to visit somebody I know. Like, why is it such a why is there such a question to where I have to be asked where I'm from when I look foreign to the circumstances and the situations that you have to deal with on a daily basis? I'm a visitor. I'm passing by. I'm just coming in for a few hours or a couple minutes, and I'm leaving. But us as Black people, we don't see that. But also we got to look at the Black folks that hate other Black folks. that's the situation we have to deal with as well. Or the black folks who don't like dealing with black folks anymore. Those would be mostly your 1%, your millionaires and your billionaires. Like, you know, most of them don't like dealing with other black people. So it's like, what should we do at this point? Like, is there anything we can do from that, or that we can do from that? But you know, it's just something for us to think about. But that's that part of, you know, we're at the end of that situation. But you know, I don't believe that Scott should have been, you know, taken off from all of his. I'm pretty sure he doesn't need the money, but I'm you know, the comics probably write themselves at this point. You know, he's worth millions. You know what I'm saying? He's had a successful TV show from it. I've never watched the show. I've only read the comic, you know, sparingly if I'm reading the newspaper. But you know, other than that, it's like he's entitled to whatever the hell he wants to think. Like I shouldn't have to sit here and have to lecture a grown man about how he should feel about a group that, you know, he only was around for a few years. You know what I'm saying? So I'll just say whatever when it comes to that. But let's move on from that. I hope I said where I got that article from. I think I did. So this next topic I'm about to speak about comes from The Hill. Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union advocate for black trans rights at NAACP Image Awards. So if you guys didn't see the Image Awards, this is the speech that they gave when speaking about Dwayne Wade's daughter now, Zaya Wade.
Zaya, you've made me a better human just simply by being who you were born to be, our baby girl, Zaya Wade. So, baby, thank you for showing the world what courage looks like. I'm proud that I was chosen to stand in place as your father. And thank you so much to the NAACP for this incredible honor.
And now if you guys don't know, Zaya just got granted the autonomy to change her birth certificate and now be called a girl. Zaya is now a girl, of which I spoke about the situation in full length. It's a few videos ago. I can't remember which one it was, but I spoke about this. I spoke about how Zaya's mother didn't want this to happen at all. They basically took it upon themselves, Gabrielle and Dwayne, by allowing Zaya to do this. And the mother, I will reiterate, the mother didn't want her to do this at the age that she is now. She's all of what, 14, 15 years old right now? And the mom was like, her real mother, not Gabrielle Union, her real mother, basically said, I'd rather wait until she turns 18 so she can make a better and more definitive decision by her wanting to be who she thinks that she really is instead of now. Because if you guys don't remember, I brought up how the mom basically stated that when Dwayne started doing all this, it was all for show. It was all for money. It was for Zaya to get modeling contracts, acting gigs, such as in Disney and stuff like that, and very, very, appearances, places, stuff like that. The mother saw the writing on the wall, But, with Dwayne being as persistent as he is, or being guided by a certain someone, Gabrielle Union, by allowing his son to change into his daughter, the mother didn't believe that should be going on right now. Now, Zaya, I guess Zaya's on hormone blockers and, what have you. Zaya has a boyfriend that was a girl, so I guess Zaya's in a trans relationship. I don't know. I guess that's what you call it. I don't know. And I just think that I believe what the mother believes. I don't think that this should be going on right now. There should be some sort of discussion between the biological mother, the biological father, and that's it. I think Gabby should sit this one out. But I believe, and this is just what I believe, this is probably what a lot of other men believe as well, that Dwayne Wade is being led by Gabrielle Union, because Gabrielle Union is in the whole Hollywood thing, and Dwayne being a star athlete in the or star basketball player in the NBA, and him not really knowing how to navigate through this whole Hollywood thing, I guess he took the bait when it came to his son. But this is one thing that they never bring up as well. When Dwayne was on, or let's not just say when he was, let's just say when he was playing basketball at a certain time, he had a male nanny. That male nanny was a part of the LGBTQ community. So who's to say that man didn't put these thoughts in Zion's head at the time? Who's to say? Because Zion's the youngest, while her brothers was out playing basketball and being star athletes themselves. You had Zion sensitive ass listening to this white dude that was a part of the community. Now, various people are saying that Dwayne's living vicariously through Zaya's life, and they feel as though that is wrong. If that's the truth, I feel as though that is wrong as well. He shouldn't be doing that. It's disgusting if he is doing that, and he shouldn't be doing that, because as a grown ass man, if you feel as though that your daughter now has a better life than what you did when you lived in Chicago where you live, on the south side, you feel as though that your daughter has a better life now than what you had back then, you're not looking at the fruits of your labor. Let's just say that you never made it into the NBA and you still was married to your high school sweetheart. What's to say that none of this would have never happened? How would you feel about your life now, D. Wade? Would you still feel the same, or would you feel as though that there's a certain void in your life because your kids aren't living their life the way that you feel as though that they should be living? It's just a question. And to Gabrielle Union, why do you think that this is good? I'm pretty sure she's about to say this in the this next part of the speech. Here we go.
With us again at the foot of a very new era of activism. A new era that demands our collective answer to one simple question. Will we fight for some, or will we fight for all of our people?
Now, I understand that last part. How can I tackle this? It's not that we're not fighting for all black people's rights, right? It's when a certain group that most of the black people who are in it that look at themselves as either gay, bisexual, trans, or what have you, or lesbian. It's not that their rights don't matter, it's that it's whoever is in control of that group that are forcing their opinions and beliefs on other Americans. Now, if y'all want to live y'all's lives the way that y'all want to, we don't have a problem with it. We just don't want our kids to see any of this shit. We don't want y'all to feel as though that we should be tolerant of your life. Because to be honest, if Rasmussen took this poll, is it okay to be gay and look to the black community? It wouldn't be the same as is it okay to be white? It wouldn't. I'm telling you this now. It wouldn't be the same. It will be a lot of strongly disagrees on that poll. And that's just me speaking as a black American, my goddamn self. Like, although I don't agree with the lifestyle, I don't agree with the lifestyle at all. I really have a difference when it comes to the person. Now I work with a trans man. I work with a gay man as well. I worked with two at a point in time. I didn't have an issue with who they were as a person. The only issue I have with them is their lifestyle. That's it. Now, if it ever came to, if we had to fight and not fight each other, but if, you know what I'm saying, like if it ever came to, if I, saw, let's say I was at like a bar or something and I saw somebody creating some issues with them, I'll step in. I'll be like, hey, yo, nah, this isn't what we're doing right now. Leave them alone. Like, I would step in. But when it comes to their lifestyle, again, I don't agree with it. Like, that's not what I believe, but that it has nothing to do with me because everyone has to live their own life. So they choose what makes them happy, and they are happy within their skin and within themselves. That's all that matters to me. So, it's just that Zaya is 14. She shouldn't be making these decisions at the age that she is at. Now, when she turns 18, and I agree when it comes to what her mother is saying, when she is 18 and beyond from that, hey, do what the fuck you want. You're a part of society now. Do whatever the fuck you want. But it all comes to it all comes to a head when once Zaya is 18, if not older, and she doesn't feel like she wants to be what she is now, then resentment comes for Dwayne and Gabby, because the mom has been very vocal on how she feels about this, and that's probably the only person that Zaya will be able to turn to when the dust settles. Like, if it all comes out and Zaya goes on, I don't know, to what's her name? Either Oprah or what's Oprah's friend's name? Gail goes and talks to Gail King, and they're talking to her about, how she feels about, how she was raised and all that. She has resentment that her father and her stepmother allowed her to do this at the age of 14. And let's say Zaya gets the operation to where she has a cloaca and it's irreversible. Now Zaya has to live with that decision. There's a lot of suicides that happen within that community, and it's usually blamed on people who don't accept them. It's not that. They have something within themselves. They usually bring up, well, black trans are the most killed in this country. Well, if you look at it, most of the time those trans are lying to not just men, but the people around them. Now, if it comes to Zaya getting into a relationship with a straight man, and the straight man thinks that Zaya is a girl, but then if Zaya gets found out by that man, who's to say that that man isn't going to try to do something to Zaya? It falls on with that community, not only the lie that they're living, but the lie that they tell themselves and other people daily. That's what that comes down to. And I'm not blaming Dwayne Wade or Gabrielle right now. I'm not. But if Zaya has those thoughts later on to where she doesn't want to do this anymore, it then becomes Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union's fault when it comes to that. And that's all I have to say about that. Let's get into this article from The Hill. Let's see. Former NBA star Dwayne Wade and actress Gabrielle Union Wade called for increased visibility and advocacy to protect the rights and lives of Black transgender people while accepting the President's Award at the 2023 NAACP Image Awards. The couple dedicated the award, which recognized outstanding achievements in public service, to their teenage daughter, Zaya, who is transgender. Zaya, as your father, all I wanted to do was get it right, Wade said Saturday during the couple's acceptance speech. I sat through it, not easy. Oh no, I sat through It's Not Easy. I'm sorry. I sat back and watched how graceful you've taken on public scrutiny, and even though it's not easy, I'll watch you walk out the house every morning as yourself. I admire how you're handling the ignorance in our world. I admire what you face every day. To say that your village is proud of you is an understatement, Wade told his daughter. Union Wade added that the black community is standing on the precipice of a new era of activism, a new era that demands our collective answer to one simple question: will we fight for some, or will we fight for all of our people? She said, eliciting a round of applause from the audience. Now, let me tackle that real fast. It's not that we won't fight for all of our people. It's the simple fact is that the people that you are asking don't agree with the lifestyle to begin with. So we have to tackle some before we get to all. Right now, disproportionately, Black men are being killed at a fast rate. So we gotta get that under control first before we start worrying about Black transgender females or males, however the hell you look at it. So let's tackle one situation and not brush off that situation before we get to another situation that readily has nothing to do with Black straight people to begin with. That's just me saying that. Let's continue. Union Waste said groups like the NAACP must step up to the plate to defend Black LGBTQ people, especially Black transgender and gender non-conforming people whose dual identities put them at the top of our whose dual identities put them at a greater risk for discrimination and violence. Even as we demand equality to the top of our lungs, we consistently fail to extend our advocacy to protect some of our most vulnerable among us, Union Wade said. But this is what she's not getting. Like Hollywood makes people jaded, and it's crazy that it does that like that. Gabrielle Union has to get this in her mind in order to understand. It may be a big thing in California that everyone should be advocating for black trans and non-conforming people, but everywhere else in the world, everywhere else in this country, they're not like, we don't care. We don't care. It's like if we see a black trans or non-conforming person, we laugh. It's not because we're immature, it's because that shit looks funny to us. That's it, and that's all. Like, if we have them in our family, yeah, we care about them, but at the same time, we're laughing at them. Not because we're immature, it's because the shit looks funny. We knew who these motherfuckers was as kids. Most of us knew, oh yeah, that motherfucker gonna be a flaming fag when he grows up. Excuse my language. Or a butch, a bully butch when they grow up. But we love them at the same time. But at that same time, it's like, hey yo, like, you leave your shit where you need to leave it at, and we don't have any problems. That's what I see when it comes to this. But I digress off of that as well. Let's keep going. Black trans people are being targeted, terrorized, and hunted in this country, which is a lie. So let's read that over again. Black trans people are being targeted, terrorized, and hunted in this country every day, everywhere, and that is a lie. An October report from Everytown for Gun Safety, a national organization advocating for stronger gun control laws, found that the number of transgender people killed in the U.S. nearly doubled between 2017 and 2021, driving primarily by gun violence. More than 70% of transgender homicide victims are black women, according to the report, despite black people accounting for just 13% of the nation's total transgender population, according to a recent estimate by the William Institute. Now, let's tackle that as well. The reason why black trans women are being killed is because they either can't find a real job or no one will hire them because of how they look. So what happens? Well, they gotta start hooking. And then when they get a John that wants to pay for their services and then realizes that they just got services from a man, that then targets them as a victim for gun violence or a homicide. This is what I'm talking about. If they just came out right away as, I'm a trans person, would you want to conduct this, whatever, or I'm a trans person, I'd like a chance at your establishment to work, would you have me here? Like, if they didn't lie, if they didn't think that we're immature to the fact that we can't understand information, then to me, it's on them. It's their issue when it comes to that. It's not our issue when it comes to that. It's your issue. Like, some people say don't ask, don't tell, but it's like, look, this is new. You have to tell, and if it comes to it, I will ask. So it's like, well, I'm not saying I will ask, but I'm just saying that establishments who hire, or if a motherfucker goes and gets their dick sucked by a transgender woman, I'm pretty sure that transgender woman should tell the person whose dick that they're about to suck that they are actually a man, not really a woman. But if you look at the surgeries right now, it's making these soft looking motherfuckers very feminine looking. So it's on them. The ball's in their court. It's not our issue. Until they tackle it, then we'll tackle it. Pause. Pause. A December report from the Human Rights Campaign, a leading LGBTQ advocacy group, found that at least 38 transgender people were killed in the U.S. in 2022. A majority of them women of color. At least 50 fatalities were categorized by the group in 2021, the deadliest year on record for transgender and gender nonconforming people. Union Wade on Saturday said she and Wade approached their activism as parents who love our children and will do whatever the hell we can to keep them seen and secure and safe. This is a conversation worth having in ways that that can build bridges that don't fan the flames of hatred or division, that don't enable lawmakers or justice systems to look the other way when Black trans people are under attack, she said. We are humbled and we are hopeful for the future, Union Wade said. We are hopeful that we may witness a real shift in the fight for justice. The movement makes room for everyone. Everyone. I don't know, man. Like that's a hard pill to swallow, man. Like although that group has major political backing, I don't think it's our issue. I don't think it's our issue. So I digress off of that. That has been the random topics of the day. I hope you guys liked them. We are about to get into the main topic of tonight, but before that, I'll get into the overview. And before I get into that, all articles and videos are credited in the description box. So if I played one of your video, it's credited in the description box. All right, I'm not taking any credit for what you did and how you run your show or organization. All right. So tonight's overview is Maegan Hall, former LaVergne police officer, says she was groomed. So let's get into it. So if you guys don't remember the infamous sex scandal from the LaVergne police department that happened just a month ago or so? I believe it was about a month ago. Where these male cops were having sexual relations with this white woman on the job, and they were getting sent sexually explicit photos and all kinds of other ill shit. But par for the course, you know what I'm saying? So this article comes from Townsville Bulletin. Sex cop Maegan Hall was sexual prey for predators. So this is what is going on now. She's coming out and saying that she was groomed. I feel as though, I didn't mean to do that, but I feel as though this is happening because her lawyer is telling her to say that. That's what I believe. But who knows? Let's see what she has to say here in this video. It's full packed of information that you guys need to know about the situation. So let's get into it.
Shocking findings of sexual misconduct rocked the LaVergne Police Department. 5 officers and the police chief all fired.
One of those officers, Maegan Hall, became the face of the scandal and the target of nationwide ridicule, and she's now filed a federal lawsuit.
Tonight, in an exclusive interview with our Nick Barris, Hall describes a toxic workplace behind closed doors and how sexual misconduct spiraled out of control.
Maegan Hall was 24 years old when she was hired as an officer here at the LaVergne Police Department 2 years ago. Her plan was to have a career in law enforcement. She now knows that dream is likely over.
I remember while interviewing for the position at LaVergne Police Department, they described the environment as a family. However, while I was aspiring to protect my community, the LaVergne Police Department was not protecting me.
By now, most of the country knows what happened. Hall, 4 other officers, and the police chief were fired last month. This after 2 separate investigations found that Hall engaged in sexual activity and/or shared intimate photos and videos with several male officers. The chief and 2 sergeants were among those implicated. Now Hall and her attorney, Wesley Clark, are suing those 3 supervisors and the city in federal court for civil rights violations.
Maegan wasn't looked at like a rookie.
But can they really do that? Like, now we're talking federal court. We're talking like major shit now, right? How can they convey a federal jury that Maegan was looked at as a sex object, not as a coworker? How can they do that? If we take, or not we, but if the prosecutor takes text messages, phone call logs, and then take police, I'm pretty sure it's a camera in their gym where she was sucking off some of the officers. Is there video cam footage that shows where she got approached by an officer, or if she approached an officer to suck their dick, and or fucking them? I just want to know if there is any sort of way that the prosecutor can convey to the jury that Maegan was looked at as a sex object and nothing else. I believe they bring up some of the evidence, such as text messages of her sending lewd photos to her co-workers that she was having relationships with, other than her own. And can they then be like, hey, yo, like, Maegan, every day she looked at going to work as a mental mind fuck because she knew the abuse that she had to take at work every day. It's like, from what I read before last month, they look like consenting adults in all of this. It's just, to me, that Maegan now feels sorry that this has become national news, to the point to where in certain circumstances she's being looked at as a whore and a bad wife. Because you gotta remember, Maegan Hall is married, but also, is any of the other officers that she slept with, are they married? They also would make them look bad as well. It would make them not look like upstanding citizens that anyone should, take any orders from. But you have to look at it like this. Is there a definitive, is anything definitive to the point to where they can basically show without any bad circumstances that Maegan is actually was an abused coworker by her other coworkers? But I don't know. Let's see what the lawyer has to say.
To be trained and promoted, she was looked at as a piece of meat to be sexualized and exploited.
Since the story broke, Hall, the lone female officer fired and only woman on the second shift, became a target nationwide for sexual jokes and taunting.
I received harassing and threatening messages on my phone daily. I felt like I had been terrorized.
And yes, now she is suing. No criminal charges have been filed in the case. Hall knows there are those who will say she was a consenting adult who willingly participated in sexual antics in violation of police department policy, and that now she wants to blame others, including one sergeant who targeted her early on.
I know what most people are saying. You know, you could have said no. I get it. But my response to them is that I did say no, and he wouldn't take it for an answer.
But was that like, okay? I want to take time to tell a story that isn't mine, but you can find it online on YouTube somewhere. So Patrice O'Neal, the great comedian, late comedian Patrice O'Neal, he has a story where he talked about going to jail. This is the reason why he went to jail. So him and his homeboys, when he was a teenager, they rode through Boston. They went to a mall, and they were trying to find, I believe, some girls that they knew, that they met in Boston. I think like a week prior. So the girls that they met, they were trying to find, I guess, the brothers or the brother or some guys of the girl that they knew. I believe that's the story. If not, it still doesn't matter. So this is what happened. So in the car, they said that the girls that they were with, one of them started sucking one of the friends off, or whatever. So they get back to, I believe it was Patrice's house. That's when everything started going down, like threesomes. Motherfuckers. Everybody was fucking, right? So a week later, another guy finds out what happened. So he tells one of the girls, "If you don't suck my dick in the bathroom, I'm gonna tell everybody what you did last week." So what happened was the girl forcefully had to suck the dude's dick in order not to be outed by this guy. So then the girl goes to her brother and says, "I just was forced to suck this dude's dick." So police get involved. She goes over, the guy threatened me to suck his dick. Only for the simple fact that last week I was raped by 4 guys, right? So I'm looking at it like that. I would say that she willingly was sucking the dicks of and fucking like four of the sergeants or whatever. Someone found out about it because someone had a big mouth probably, and he basically probably went to her and said, "Look, if you don't fuck me or suck my dick, I'm telling the chief." And then this whole thing is blown out of proportion because someone couldn't get their way, and now the whole deal's off. Now nobody can fuck at work anymore. Not saying that you should fuck at work, but I'm just saying that could possibly be a cause of what happened. So, do I believe her story? I would like to look at court transcripts if they're available, and if they become available. I like to look at the transcripts to see what happened in the case. But if it's found out that everything was true, then I'll apologize for everything that I'm saying right now. But if it's found out to where definitively everyone was consenting to do all of this, then she shouldn't get any sort of praise for coming out as a survivor or something. Like, nah, like you did what you did. The whole world knows, including your husband. You got to deal with what's going on and what you did. And that's it. Let's continue the video.
Eventually, I gave in from pressure.
So it's not as easy to say she could have just said no.
She did say no on several occasions. Miss Hall tried to get out of this relationship, and she was not allowed to.
Hall concedes she participated under duress. She's not saying she was raped, but adds that the salacious details made public of sex on the job put her alone center stage and do.
If she wasn't raped, then how can we then take her word that she was sexually abused at work? At work. Not saying that she wasn't, but if everyone was consenting of this, if let's say whoever the 4 officers are, I forgot their names, they're in a different show of mine that I have on paper. I just don't know what the officers' names are, but I'm pretty sure that they'll get into their names in this article. But like I said, there probably was a 5th guy who wanted in, and she probably shut down his advances and was like, no, I don't want to do this with you. Like, I don't know what you've heard, but I'm not that type of girl, right? To where I believe the mayor found out. So who's to say that the officer who got shut down didn't go to the mayor and was like, yo, it's some shit going on at the LaVergne Police Department that you should know about. And then that's how the whole thing got blown out of proportion to where it's national news now. But who knows? Who knows what happened? Let's continue.
Tell the whole story.
They isolated me, they shunned me, they accused me, and they blamed me for becoming a victim.
Hall suffered from depression to the point of considering suicide, and at one point was hospitalized. She felt trapped.
That was probably when the shit went national. While she was doing it, who knows how she felt.
Supervisors worked together to take advantage of my vulnerabilities and my mental health. And they used it for their gain and sexual pleasure.
And that included the police chief, Chip Davis. The independent investigation found he was aware of what was going on and even received intimate photos and videos of Hall.
Who do you even turn to when the chief of police is sexually harassing you? How could I get justice when the entire system, including the chief, not only condoned such behavior, but participated in it? I was lost.
Which makes it make sense. Let's say that the 5th guy was the chief. The chief wanted in, but she didn't want to do whatever she was doing with the other officers with the chief, because for the simple fact that it probably was natural with the other guys that she worked with, because she's working a beat with most of these guys on second shift. It's nighttime. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how LaVergne is, on a day-to-day, but let's say that LaVergne is like a quiet town, right? Nothing really happens. The only calls they go on are domestic violence calls, or, my dog ran away or something, right? Let's say that LaVergne's like that. So what are officers mostly doing when it's a small town, quiet town, and they're police officers? They're probably spending most of their day in the office just shooting the breeze. So boredom struck, and somebody came up with the wise idea, hey, we should start having sex with Maegan in the bathrooms. I don't know if that's the case or not, but who knows? Who knows what could have happened? It's all of our words, including the cops involved, against Maegan's, because we are in the whole believe all women, era of things, So who knows what's going on with this? Let's continue.
And I felt alone. I had no one to turn to, and I had nowhere to go.
Hall now realizes her career in law enforcement is likely over, and she knows those ugly memes on social media will remain forever. Her reputation sullied.
No woman should ever have to endure this type of abuse. What happened to me during my employment at LaVergne's police department, it should never happen to anyone.
Hall now hopes to put what happened to her here at the LaVergne PD behind her. She is married and says she has a strong family support system and says that it was her faith that helped carry her through the turmoil. Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
Nick, thank you. Hall's federal lawsuit names 2 supervising sergeants, the police chief, and the city of LaVergne. The city has not responded to the lawsuit.
All right. So, let's get into the article. Let's see what this has to say. So, this article from Townsville Bulletin says the Tennessee cop fired over her numerous sexual romps with other officers claim in a new federal lawsuit that superiors in her department sexually groomed her for the risque escapades. Okay, so let's get on with it. Maegan Hall, 26, who blamed a troubled marriage for her randy affairs, claimed she felt trapped and exploited in the midst of the all-male ranks of the LaVergne Police Department, according to her 51-page federal complaint filed Monday. Okay. Let's tackle that. So she blames, right, that she blamed a troubled marriage for her randy affairs. Okay, so let's tackle that. She's in a bad marriage, probably a sexless marriage, or a marriage where she's probably not having much sex in or emotional companionship. And where is she at most of the time? She's at work. Who's at work with her? Men. And when it comes to, I can't speak for women when I say this, I'm just going to speak just candidly and in general. When it comes to a woman in a troubled marriage and she's at work all of the time, who she's going to cheat on her boyfriend or husband with is someone that she works with. We all know about the work husband thing and work boyfriend thing. So she had several of those. It also states that claims she felt trapped and exploited in the midst of an all-male ranks of the LaVergne Police Department, right? Now, it was said that the supervisor knew about these romps. You know, them going into the gym, their gym's bathroom and her, sucking dick and shit, whatever. Or being fucked by one of them. Well, she's in a troubled marriage. She's probably not getting the sex that she wants from her husband. So she's going to find it elsewhere. Where is she finding it? At work with several men. Because who's to say that all of the guys that she works with are at work at the same time she is? Most of them could be off. It could be not their day to be at work. So she's there with, she working with 4 other guys, including the police chief that's on the shift. So she's probably looking at her 4 co-workers, because if she tries to make sexual advances towards the police chief, she could possibly get fired. So she's looking at her co-workers as safe havens from the troubled marriage that she is in. And that's just a thought. That's just me, just saying what I'm thinking out loud. Who's to say that could now? I'm saying that in a way that it could have happened that way, but I'm not saying that it did happen that way. But she's stating that in her own 51-page federal complaint that she filed. So if she's in a troubled marriage and she's having sexual romps at work, but now she feels disgusted at what she did, I don't know what else to say. I don't know if her word is something that we should be looking at. As I said earlier, I'll wait to make a decision once the transcripts of the trial come out, because she'll be under oath if she takes the stand. She'll be under oath. So whatever that her and her lawyer practice, if the defense attorneys are good, you know what I'm saying? Like, they probably will ask her some hard questions, such as, you stated in your indictment that you was in a troubled marriage. Could you tell us about that? And that could be the end of her prosecuting attorney's whole plan or whatever. Like, that could possibly put a wrench in his plan to get her off from all of these, all this scrutiny. Let's continue. Where Miss Hall sought role models at her new job, she instead found predators. The lawsuit says, in place of offering professional development, her supervisors and the chief of police groomed her for sexual exploitation. They colluded in using their authority to systematically de-arm her resistance and entrap her in degrading and abusive sexual relationships, even sharing tips on the best way to manipulate and exploit her. The suit claims Hall, who had a history of mental illness, felt trapped, and in an attempt to escape, she nearly killed herself. Hall was fired in January after word of the steamy sexcapades with five other cops became public, with those officers also terminated from the department. Now, I wanted to tackle something real fast before I continue. This is what I wanted to tackle. She was looking for role models on her new job, and also she wanted, instead of them offering professional development, her supervisors and the chief of police groomed her for sexual exploitation. Now, you always hear cops usually have a better relationship than many other people in this country, because they have to work to be together, they have to trust each other, and can't be any fuck shit when it comes to it. So she entrusted her officers, her fellow officers, and then when you entrust fellow officers with certain information, what then happens, right? So let's say she started talking about her marriage. She started saying, I'm not, my marriage is tough right now. I'm not really in love with my husband right now because he doesn't treat me right and all this. And let's say that with that, her she's saying all of this, and then her coworkers are basically looking at her like, you good? Like, you sure? Like, you know what I'm saying? You want to talk about this right now? And then she probably is like, some people who don't, or or feel that way about their spouse, that she doesn't give a fuck about her husband like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I'm not saying that she made sexual advances towards them, but let's just say that something of the sort happened where, they was on beat one day having lunch, and let's say at lunch she sucked one of the officers' dicks because she felt the way she felt about her husband, that they knew of. Well, with that being said, who knows how everything came about, but I'm coming up with some good alternatives of how something could have happened. But that's just me. Let's keep going. So, in an interview during an internal investigation, the young cop admitted she performed sex acts on duty and on police property and had a threesome with one cop and his wife. Okay. Now, she's having threesomes with cops and their wives, or a cop and his wife. So, how was she groomed at this point? Because you have to be into that. That has to be within you to be like, you know what I'm saying, like why don't I come over one day and we get in, we do we try to convince your wife to insist us in some things, right? Who's to say that that didn't happen? Or let's say she just was over one night at one of her co-workers houses, drinking, having fun, not thinking of too much, and let's say shit got so heavy to where they asked her to be a part of everything, and she obliged. She was like, okay, cool, I'll do it. It just looks to me, a 26-year-old girl is fulfilling her sexual desires. The only way that she can do that is with the people that she A, works with, and B, with other people outside of her marriage. That's how I'm looking at it. But that's just me. Let's continue. Hall told the investigator she got stupid and got desperate in the midst of a divorce, which is bringing everything into question and is bringing everything in full circle. Let's continue. In her federal lawsuit, Hall, who was 24 when she first applied for a job on the force in 2020, claimed she first became sexually involved with Sergeant Lewis Powell earlier last year. Sergeant Powell learned that Miss Hall was going through the process of buying a home with her husband and that his process was extremely taxing on their relationship, the lawsuit said. Sergeant Powell positioned himself as a reliable source of companionship and advice regarding Miss Hall's career and her marriage. Sergeant Powell persisted in requesting for sex despite Miss Hall's resistance, it said. Eventually, Miss Hall gave in to Sergeant Powell's request for sexual favors. She said when she tried to break off the affair, Powell threatened to kill himself. Hall said the exploitive sexual relationship with Powell led to other sexual encounters involving other LaVergne cops. So these are the people that they're talking about. These are the other guys. All right. Now, Larry Holiday, Patrick Mick, I don't know how to say his name, but we'll just call him Patrick. Ty McGowan, Juan Lugo Perez, and Gavin Schubarrel, and a detective Seneca Shields. Seneca, I think that's Seneca Shields. So I guess this is everyone right here, right? Now, let's continue. Powell, Lugo, McGowan, and Shields were fired over the sescapades. The other cops kept their jobs but were suspended. Earlier this month, LaVergne Police Chief Beryl Chips Davis was also fired. Hall claims the chief encountered this behavior and shared in the pornography and sexual fantasy of mutually abusing Miss Hall with his trusted supervisor, Ty McGowan. She said Davis once asked her to come into his office to dance for him, tried to get her to agree to lunch dates, and described her clothing as hot girl summer shit. Okay. The lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court in the Middle District of Tennessee names the city of LaVergne, Powell, McGowan, and Davis as defendants. It seeks an unspecific amount in damages for lost wages, medical expenses, mental suffering, emotional distress, and reputational harm. A spokeswoman for LaVergne declined to comment on Tuesday and told the Post that the city does not comment on pending litigation. Now, I'd say this. Maybe it's not all of the cops that she's trying to sue. It's not all their fault. I'd say this though. She and everyone else all have something to do with this situation that she's going through. It's just that they all have gotten caught, and now she's feeling suicidal and all kinds of other shit because now her reputation has now been diminished. Because you gotta remember, look at all the charges again. All right, she was fired for this, which means she is seeking whatever amount of money for lost wages, so she can pay her bills, medical expenses, so she can pay her medical bills, and medical suffering, which when she got fired from all this being national news at this point, she then went into a depression and wanted to kill herself from this. Because now she's being outed as a whore. I believe no woman wants to be looked at as a whore by anyone. So let's keep going. Emotional distress, of which the media is bringing that upon her, and reputational harm, with which she harmed her own reputation by sleeping with these men. And I'm not blaming her for all of this, because all of them have something to do with this. It's just that when it comes to her seeking a federal, doing this in federal court, look, shorty, you have to take as much scrutiny and responsibility for all of this, just like your co-workers, because I don't believe it's just was them who coerced you into doing all of this. Like, gotta remember, documents stated that she was going through a bad divorce. Well, if she was going through a bad divorce, why the hell is she talking about it at work? Why does your co-workers need to know that you're going through a divorce? Like, that shouldn't even be any of their business, let alone for them to even give a fuck about it. Also, what say you about this? Why is it that now you're looking at everyone, or not everyone, but all those guys as grooming you? If you were being groomed and you had cognitive reasoning to distinctly look at it, oh, I'm being groomed, why didn't you then ask for a change of shift? Just asking. It seems as though, like I said earlier, that all of this came about once she opened her mouth about not being emotionally, physically, and verbally taken care of at home, to where she had to look for what she needed outside of the home. I'm saying men do it, women do it all the time. So I don't blame her for doing what she had to do or has to do in order to make herself happy. It's just par for the course, I guess. So I don't know. With that being said, y'all, that's the end of that. I thank y'all for being here. But before we do that, I see no one's here to, be a part of this lovely show, so we can end it here. It doesn't matter. But before we go, man, like let's just let me say this before we, like get out of here. I have my theme music's playing on accident. Let's look at it like this. Let's say she was sexually abused at work by her coworkers, right? If that is the case, then her coworkers should be charged in some way, or she should have some sort of lovely payment out to her. But let's say that she brought all of this on to herself, right? Well, no one should be looked at as a bad person, because all you guys had something to do with this. So, that's just my thought on that. But I may be wrong. So, like I said, we can wait for the transcripts to come out. So, people, we have reached the end of the show, and I thank you for being here. But before that, I have some promotions to go through, so just hang tight for you get up on out of here. So Marcus Speaks Play every Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys can come and watch me play all of my favorite games in a certain select few of new releases. I'm playing Kirby right now. I was playing Gotham Knights. I am playing Kirby's, what's it called? Kirby Return to Dreamland. So yeah, I'm playing that. So come on through on Fridays. Come watch that. If you got kids, it's nice, wholesome fun. You know what I'm saying? Sit them down with you. Y'all can watch. Maybe you can make the decision if you want to get them the game, so you all can play together. It is a 4-player game. Also, come and watch me on Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I do this here podcast, Marcus Speaks Live. If you have to, go ahead and follow me on my social medias. That'll let you know about every topic I will be speaking about every week. So make sure you guys, come on through, have some fun. Please, if you could, subscribe to this channel, Marcus Speaks, but also please go over to my Rumble channel and subscribe to that. I think I need like 25, if not 26 more people just subscribe to me over there to where I can start streaming live over there as well. So if things get spicy over here, like today's subject could have got spicy if I had some people watching. More than just what 4 or 5 people that I had watching. We could have got spicy up in here, man, talking about this. So the description has both of those links pinned down there. So make sure you go and check both of my channels out. And download the Rumble app if you don't have it. Also, if you would like to be up here and talk to me, you can. Just have to follow 3 rules. You have to be on camera at all times. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. I have to see who I will be speaking with. If you don't want to be on camera to the public, that is fine. I will be sure that I will grant that request to you. All right? Answer the question here in the backstage, and I will get that done pronto. Also, please silence all background noise. I don't need for you guys to, sharing your life through noise with us. Just find a nice and cool spot in your house, and I will help you with the rest of it. All right. And with that also being said, please like this video, subscribe if you're new here, hit that bell icon to all, and then share this to all your social media so you can get your friends involved on what's going on over here. All right. Now with that, I gotta go, but I'm just gonna leave you with this. Please focus on getting to that money. Money makes the world go round. Also, drink more water for health purposes. All right. Mind your business for mental health purposes. And always remember this. Make sure you do your own research. It helps you out in the long run. I have been Marcus. This has been Marcus Speaks Live. I thank y'all for being here. I thank y'all for watching. And I will check you guys out next Friday on Marcus Speaks Play. Peace out.